Well, hello everybody, and welcome to week eight, race eight of the ZRL WTRL racing. I'm Kate Bates, joined by Anna Russell. Anna, I cannot believe we are at the end of the season already. How did this happen? And they're
I
finishing it
know.
off with a big one in Paris.
I know. I cannot believe it's been 8 weeks. I started with a 3 month old and now I have a 5 month old, and I feel like time has just flown by. Yes, and we're on the Paris course, Lutece Express. I actually Googled how to pronounce Lutece because I think I was saying Lutece, but Lutece Express. Great course. I've just seen the C Women have started, so we'll jump on down there pretty soon. But this is the final race, but there are the playoffs next week. So we have the TTT running across all the time zones next week, and then we also have the scratch race on Saturday. I think that's
Well,
Saturday. Yeah, it's the Legends and Lava, which is quite a cool course.
that is a very cool course. So today there is a whole lot of sprints. We have 7 sprints out on course. We won't run out of things to talk about. For the C women, they have 4 laps, it's 30.1 kilometres. And for the
Hmm.
men, we'll be following the A's. They have 6 laps, that's 43.3 kilometres. So as we know, they are pretty short laps. Anna, I'm pretty excited. The steamroller is back. So when we're out, we
Oh,
can talk
yes.
about what that does. I love a good mix of power up, and then of course the aero and the feather as well. And in a couple of the competitions, Anna, it's pretty tight at the top of the board.
It is. We'll go down to race images now, and we'll show some of the table results as we go along before they hit their first kind of segment. So the women, I think it was the Caramellos who were looking pretty good in the league standings thus far. I'll just wait for I'll get those up as soon as I can. But they looked quite good last week. They kind of they're really, really leading the way, aren't they? We'll see if, there we go. The Caramellos sitting right on top of the tables. Raving Mad, second there after 7 races. Still relatively close, 139 points to that 131. Herd of Woylies are sitting in third place with 124. And then a lot more AHDRL teams. Chubba Chub, Spin Mafia, all the way down to the Tune Bike Works. And then TBR Smile On, unfortunately, looks like they haven't had too many results on the table thus far.
Interesting, because TBR Smile On is a team that has a lot of really impressive riders and have had some really big results as well. So I think that some weeks, even though they get some really consistent results with a couple of riders, it doesn't mean they necessarily have been able to carry that through across the board. So we'll see how that goes. And I do notice that a whole heap of the Aussies from TBR have got Ukrainian.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really nice to see. I know
A
that
bit of solidarity.
a lot of people on Zwift are. Just seeing if I missing a little bit of sound there. I think I got you, Kate. It just replayed there a little bit when you were talking, but I think that that's hopefully all fixed now. But looking at these women, the pace is really off as they come around the top here. Around the Arc de Triomphe, I do want to say they will be coming in to their first sprint, which is actually a lead-in sprint. So this is a little bit different, is that even though for the C women it is only 4 laps, they will actually have 5 sprints because they do have this lead-in where it is a sprint points on offer. Uh, they will come around, and I do want to talk about, I won't talk about it on this lap because it is getting pretty hot here heading into the first sprint, but I will say that there is the opportunity for a triple power up. That's what I did my little whiteboarding on this time, and I think that this we could see it in this race, and we'll see if anyone can pull it off. Looking at Sophie here from the Caramellos coming through with Gina Van Rossum right over the top. Fantastic there from Gina Van Rossum. Looked like Eve there coming in also from TBR. Could have been second or third. That was very well played by Gina Van Rossum. Great on her. She's a very prolific racer. She's commented on a few of mine. She's a great lady, so good to see her take out that first sprint. Still don't have your sound there. Wait, I'll just see if I can shoot you a message and see what's going on there. For the women now through sprint number 1. We've got the men out on course as well. They've got quite a few more laps tonight. They've got 6 laps as opposed to the C women's 4. So we'll stick with the women as they go through their second sprint as well. Do just want to talk through what this triple up power up is. And I'll just see if we can get sound back for some reason. I'll send you a message, Kate. So oh, wait, I think I got you.
I think I might be back.
You're back. You're back.
Technology.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Yes, I wanted to hear about this triple power up. That I'm quite curious about that.
Okay, so here we go. As you can see, this is a great time to talk about it. There are a bunch of women who've gone through that sprint, they've picked up a power up, they've dropped it, and now they've actually gone through the lap banner. Now, if you time this well, and it's going to work very, very well with the steamroller power up because it lasts so long, not so much the feather, and also the arrow is pretty good too. What you do is you drop a power up right before the first sprint. Then you will carry that power up past the sprint while you've picked up another one and waiting. As soon as that power up's run out, you drop that one you got at the sprint banner. That carries you through pretty much to that lap banner. You'll pick up another one, you drop the third one. It's the only course that I know of on Zwift you can drop 3 power ups in a row. If those are steamrollers on cobbles, that's 1.5 minutes of effort that you're going to have way reduced from a power up. I have seen someone pull off an amazing solo attack using this maneuver.
Yeah, that would be pretty impressive and very beneficial, might I add. But you do kind of need to plan that, I will point out, because you need to think about that at the same time as what your legs are doing so that it's not a waste in any way. You're not just dropping them but not, making use of them. But if it does work like that, especially in the second half of the race and the back end, that can make a real difference, can't it? Because everybody, let's just be real, everybody's pretty buggered by this point in the season. And we'll talk about Worlds in a second because my mind is blown by some of the riders we saw in the community last year who are now, gone on to do some amazing things. But we have definitely noticed that people's form has peaked and people are starting to get a little bit tired. So they need to kind of survive through today. It's a pretty brutal course for anybody who's a bit fried.
Yeah, this is, do you want to just pull up the segment said, Gina Van Rossum, great job. We do have first across line and fastest time segment as well. And I will pull up a little graph from Zwift Insider that shows what people should focus on. We can just see the chase pack catching this group now as they're about to hit the little uphill and then a bit more flat. But yeah, Gina Van Rossum taking out first across line and fastest time segment. That is phenomenal. Nightingale there, second, and Jay Foot from Raven Mad looking pretty good with 7 points for that first across line, 10 points for the fastest time segment. So, yep, the points are starting to be gathered already. But who's going to be able to beat Gina Van Rossum on this kind of a course? I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she's going incredibly consistently and she's so fast. It's just whether she can... whether she will go for all of the intermediates or whether she will pick and choose, because you'd be pretty fried by the end going for all of them. And that just kind of leaves the door open for some opportunistic riders who may be sitting in wake a little bit and just waiting for those big efforts to come rather than wearing themselves out in the intermediate sprints. But even though the table for the most part is kind of sorted out for what's going to happen for this season, you've got to say there's bragging rights at the end of the day. Like for who wins the final race, and they've just done a ripping job this season. So I reckon, Anna, that there'll be a few who are just going for first across the line at the end. Just for feel good, just to finish the season off with a little bit of a bang rather than maybe accruing a few points and finishing somewhere on the points table.
I think so. I think for this kind of a race, it is. I know with our team who's racing tomorrow, we've already sewn up, not, humble brag, we've already sewn up our division.
I love the humble brag.
So we are, tomorrow is just kind of for us, go have a bit of fun, like just play it. I mean, if you want to, there will be a lot of people going for that outright win. I think you're right, just because what a way to finish off the season. They've already done their job for the team, so there we go. I am intrigued by the fact there's a few people coming into chat saying that this is actually going to be a really hard race. I'm kind of looking at tomorrow and hoping that I can just sit in the pack and sprint each lap and then just kind of go for the end. I hope it's not going to be that hard. I mean, you're looking at the women and those chasers did manage to catch back on, and the pace is really off. So they are, they're kind of cruising around here a bit. So is it going to be hard? I hope not.
Well, I reckon it's one of those courses that it entirely depends on how it's raced. Mm-hmm. And that might people might be like, that's every course.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to cut you off, Anna Russell, because it's not. Like New York, for example, is just hideous.
Isn't it?
It doesn't really matter how that is raced. It is an exceptionally tough course. And you may not get dropped on the first lap, but if you're not a great climber, there's no way to get up there comfortably. Whereas this kind of course, if they just do sprints and they're easing off after the sprints and between, you can afford to, not panic if a gap opens up in the sprint because they're going to sit up and you can get back on. But if they choose to drill it after the sprint, well, bugger, like you've got to go like the clappers in the sprint just to hang on, because otherwise, the big gaps will open up. So, yeah, I reckon it could be, but it does depend how they race. So let's take a look at the men. And what I'm very, very excited to say is two of the fellas that we watched last year riding for Aero in this Zwift community, Anna, that we were talking about all the time, notably Ben Hill and Sam Hill, the amazing brothers from Canberra in Australia. They had a major, major impact on the race at the World Championships on the weekend. They've only been in Premier League for one season now. Like, I'm just blown away by how wonderfully they did. And I think they're doing the community levels a real, really proud, because we often look at these guys and we say, gee, they are really world level. And people might say, but they're community leagues, not Premier Leagues. But I think what the Hill brothers kind of proved is that these guys, it's just the situation or the team they may be in, rather than their talent that has them in community league versus Premier League. It may even be time zone. Yeah. So it's just really exciting to see those guys up there. And
yeah, they did amazing. I think Nathan and I having a bit of a watch party. Kate was de-essing the Australian team, who performed absolutely superbly in the World Championships. I've got to say, as a Kiwi, it's hard to say that, but wow, what an amazing race. But that's, we were watching, and they've got a little while to the sprint. We can chat a little bit about what happened in that men's race. I called out the Aussies for missing that move, not getting someone into that front group. And I thought, man, they are paying for that, because they're having to put, I think it was Torben Partridge-Madsen and Ben Hill on the front and just drill it as a time trial to try and get back on. And it was really burning them up. But, I called them out on it. I said they really should have made that front pack. As we see an attack here from Howes here from NZ Bro Frodo. Good job. But they did get back on, and obviously then they managed to take out first, second, fourth in the World Championships men's race.
Fourth, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but how did you feel seeing that no one was in that front pack? Was it nervous?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can have 50 different tactics and none of them are ever going to go quite to plan. And it almost couldn't have gone more to plan, because if there was an Aussie in that break, there's every chance it would have been shut down earlier. There's every chance another team, another country would have chased. So by the fellas taking it into their own hands and taking responsibility of it, they also then dictated what happened in the race. And I just think it was beautifully written. And it shows loyalty too, like the respect and loyalty they all have for each other is just fantastic. We saw Torben last year in the community leagues as well. So, there's 3 of them that have been racing really well together through aero. Jay Vine, of course, also comes from the aero background. So kind of massive kudos to the community behind that and what they're doing for development. We often talk about how, we have the masters here and we also have the development team that's riding in the A. And I think fast forward a few years and we may see NZ Bro coming into the fore in the way aero is. So, and speaking of which,
look at that.
fellows
taking it away. Looks like it won't get
Mm.
caught. This is the second sprint for them. They've had their lead-in sprint. That was a great job. So what they did there, they used an aero power-up, not even a feather, to break away as we're seeing a rider coming through so quick with that steamroller power-up. Look at that. That is phenomenal pace that they came through with. That just shows that steamroller is unbelievable coming into this downhill. Then you can see that lap banner arch just coming up. But yeah, we saw Fellows there. He's a young rider new to their team, but has some very, very good power. He used the aero power up, broke away, managed to stay away with that aero rider and just rolled over them for that sprint. So great job. I'll pull up the segment times when I get them. But yeah, awesome work. Just want to call out to Aaron Bleakley too. You can see him. He's probably going to be lapped pretty soon. He had a technical on the start, but he has managed to get back on and he's going to continue racing. So good job, Aaron. He actually was my DS for the recent world tournament for the WTRL TTT.
Oh, with the cheesy rolls.
Yeah, the cheese rolls. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
good. No,
cheese. It was hard, man. Like, yeah, it's having a big climb in there, like Leaf Hill. Yeah, it really took it out of the legs. Also at 6 a.m. I don't think I'm on my best form. So yeah, but we actually had an Aussie with us who was up at 4, so I can't complain.
Oh, well, what do they say? You can, but don't expect anybody to listen.
Oh, exactly.
I think this proliferation of racing is a really cool thing. And actually, after watching them the other day, it's probably the first time I've had the really conscious thought, Anna. I thought I'd be really stoked if my girls got into esports.
Awesome.
I'd be really stoked if they, if they didn't want to be athletes, full-time athletes or pro athletes or whatever, if they were talented enough to. Esports is this amazing way for you to get out your athleticism, in the confines of more of a normal world.
Yeah.
And, I think it was really good to see on the weekend a whole lot of riders that we know also have full-time jobs that are just kicking butt, at a world level and putting out the phenomenal powers. Of our team, there was only 2 of the 7 that are full-time bike riders, and the rest have a full-time job and a family, and then do the esports on top of that. So pretty impressive, given all of that.
Yeah, we had a couple of mums on the crew, and one of the mums is an XCOM Games mountain biker, so she's got a pretty decent pedigree. But yeah, man, it's I think the same. I think esports kind of, what I like seeing is the sort of legitimacy that it's getting, and you see someone like Jay Vine taking it out. I mean, he's a legitimate in real life racer like Ashley Millman-Passio was, so it gives that legitimacy that these riders are very, very good riders. You can't just jump on a trainer and expect to win. That top level competition is now very, very top level.
And I think that, the other thing is you've got riders like Jay Vine who he won't forget that he got his contract via Zwift and via esports. And I think it remains very close to their heart when, that gives them such a huge opportunity. We talked about it last week, Anna, that when you're watching that A's versus B's, C's, D's, whatever, you can actually barely tell which division you're watching or commentating on, because their racing is so good now. It's so high level and strategic that you're not a couple of seasons ago, we were seeing really big gaps in the B's and C's, and so it was, quite obvious that they hadn't quite learnt the art of racing necessarily. This season, total turnaround.
Yeah.
It is incredible how well they are racing, and I never look at average speed, and you very rarely actually look at average power while they're racing. You kind of get carried away with just the beauty of the strategy going on
Yeah.
and how close it is, which is how it should be, right?
Yeah.
And I've got to say, huge kudos to these women, because they have done such a good job this season of mixing it up. We haven't had somebody blanket win across every week. It's been really intense competition.
Yeah, it's the women have looked great, and I think in the C category you've got the sort of personalities coming out there. I know each week, and it reminds me every time I get a message from the TBR crew about what kind of party they've got going on. Thanks to Lucy Esdale for that. So they've got the Espresso Martini Eve, Perfect Manhattan Mon, Stoli Crush Stacy. That reminds me of my my youth.
That's like, isn't that like a vodka cruiser or
Yeah,
something?
it's like a Stolly. I just remember that from my early 20s.
Oh,
Ginseling Gina, Mudcake Monica, Lemon Slice Liz, Captain Margarita. She said they're looking forward to their last drinks in Paris, hoping that all the sprinting doesn't cause the champagne to spill. And thanks to you and I for our coverage of their racing this season.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Anna, I think it's probably good we didn't know each other in our 20s based on your, possible choice for a dolly or two.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, not to say we're not capable of that as fully grown adults.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't be, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could meet all of these wonderful Zwift athletes in real life and, find out more about them, see what they look like. I find it so bizarre that I feel like I know a lot of them, but I don't. And I would walk right past them in a supermarket.
Oh, I know.
You don't even know what a lot of them look like. I find that quite fascinating.
I know. It is very interesting, isn't it? And then it's always sort of shocking when you find out, say, that someone isn't the age you thought, or they actually don't live in the city you thought they did. Or like you just get a totally different picture of them in your head.
You feel quite ripped off.
Oh, exactly. Just shouting out to Gina Van Rossum again, taking out a ton of points. She's looking very good for her team at the moment. I do also just want to pull up a graphic here, which was from Zwift Insider. This is he does graphs on each week on the race and how the first across line, fastest time segment, and finish points sort of get divided up. And yeah, I would have to say, yeah, this one really captures it well, is that it is the first across line because there's so many laps. You're going to have so many opportunities to get those points as opposed to fastest time segment where you kind of predominantly just get that in lap number 1. So yeah, it's good little graph there from Zwift Insider. Head over there. And quite a few points on offer at the finish too. So I'd be, as a team, focusing on first across line for sure for this one.
That is a really cool graph. And often the finish is heavily weighted compared to these kinds of courses. But that's because there's so many intermediate sprints and so many opportunities and chances to get those points along the way. I mean, you would be well served to go for half of the intermediate sprints and then for the finish. That would be a very effective way to earn a whole lot of points rather than going for every intermediate sprint. But I reckon if you were a bit pickier and choosier, you also have a better chance of taking that fastest through segment for that. But they're not necessarily waiting around for the sprint.
Look at this,
Caramellos.
This is a concerted team attack. This is looking great, and they've all got mohawks, which I saw when I was in the start pen. So they've all got matching kind of ginger mohawks. Ooh. They've done a full team attack here off the front. I saw a few steamrollers being dropped, a couple of a feather maybe in there as well. Looks like maybe Tracy just couldn't quite, Gina Van Rossum actually, sorry, couldn't quite keep up with that pace there. These three have gone off the front. Oh, look who's coming here. Van Rossum. I thought she might have dropped off, but no. She is well up to play with what they're doing. She will probably roll over them near the sprint. Just got to say the men are going through a sprint as well. We'll watch the women on this one and head back to the men. The women are a lot shorter of a race tonight. They're at 15K, same as the men. They've basically hit this But of course, at the same time, let's have a look what happens here as they head into the sprint.
Yeah, the women have certainly taken a very aggressive tack today, but with Gina Van Rossum there, the Caramellos won't be doing too much. Coming up here, well, Van Rossum is out of her
looks
seat,
like
but it's
Jay
Foot
Foot could
from
have
Raven
taken
Mad.
that. That was fantastic. That was some great tactics there. She dropped an arrow and kind of just caught all the others off guard and rolled on through. So great job from Foot. I think she managed to cast Van Rossum off her guard there a little bit. So that was awesome work.
I think Van Rossum did. She was just thinking she could tack around the outside there, but Foot kind of came out of nowhere. Look at the massive gaps that have opened up. We're halfway through. They're starting to get quite aggressive in their racing style. It is really doing a whole lot of damage. But if the Caramellos aren't prepared to keep pushing with it, it might not work. Over to the men, Anna, and take a look at this. It's a bit of a different story in the men, but everybody is throwing their power-ups at this as they come in for these points. They're also at the 16-kilometre mark. Or have they just gone through, and is this the lap banner?
Yeah, that's the lap banner. So that's why we saw a lot of power-ups being dropped there. So they'd gone through the sprint. They literally sprinted at the same time as the women. They've now moved ahead a little bit on course, so we'll follow them through to the next sprint. The women have only got 4 laps at 30 kilometres, so they are over halfway. I will say that chase pack has managed on that downhill to catch back up to the main pack. So that was a good job, though, by the Caramellos to kind of break things up a little bit, really put the hurt on. It is making me a bit nervous. This course is looking harder than I had originally thought it might have.
Well, it's all how it's raced, right? So at the moment, the men are sitting up a bit in between sprints. You can tell we're looking at Davison, under 300 watts, but he was sitting under 200 watts for a little bit there. So the pressure isn't massively on between those sprints. This would be a very good chance to really hurt some legs if they wanted to, though. Once they go past every intermediate sprint, and especially with the cobbles, if they really turn the screws, it would do a whole lot of damage. But it seems like both Aero and NZ Bro are quite content at the moment to just sit in and watch what happens. If we can get a look, it would be great to have a look at the overall standing.
Yes, I'll pull those up.
It was pretty tight heading into the team's time trial last week. We thought NZ Bro were going to better ZWC, but they didn't quite. And so look at the gap that then opened up between first and second. That was directly because of last week's result. But NZ Bro and Aero, Anna, it's massive bragging rights for tonight because whoever finishes in front of the other will finish in front on the league standings. Can we talk through any countback process, Anna? What happens if they're tied in the league standings?
I think, don't quote me on this, head over to WTRL if you are in this situation. But we were in this situation a couple of seasons ago, and it comes down to whoever is the best in this race, the last race. So I believe that is still the case. So it really depends on who has sort of has performed well in this last one. Because I think from our team, it all came down to a TTT, and we had to beat the other team in points or something. It all came down to the last race anyway, so it's probably similar here, but this is looking very close between NZ Bro and Aero Masters, only 2 points in that, so that'll be quite the battle, and that could really put playoffs on the line.
I feel like, well, but Aero's already got a team in Premier League, so it's a little bit of a different scenario for them versus NZ Bro, but it's almost like the Vegemite rolls versus the cheesy rolls here, Anna, if we can simplify that. Or maybe we're fighting for the right to claim Pavlova and or Russell Crowe. I'm not sure. Big stakes. But it is a lot of pressure toward the end of the season. But again, it just massively goes to show the level of racing and how much it has really stepped up. And it's just a phenomenal talent pool coming through. I hope to see NZ Bro hit Premier League at some point. I think that they do deserve that. I don't know, Anna. Do you think they're ready for it?
Yes,
You well,
absolutely. They're ready for
you
it.
think they're
Yeah.
ready for it? Yeah. And I say that because they have so many talented individuals, like absolutely no doubt. But we have seen a massive improvement from them in the racecraft section, like even Story from the first week where he was wasting watts left, right, and center to, him really sharpening it. Look at him. He's sitting beautifully mid-pack. He's really learned how to be more efficient and time those attacks really well and gained a lot of confidence. So I do wonder if another season in community might allow them to really tweak those strategies so that when they take that next step up, because I have no doubt that they'll be able to, that they can really make the most of it. Noting again that Aero can't step up. And ZWC, I think they can step up though, can't they, Anna, if they're in a position to?
I think they can, but they have tended not to. We are just seeing it looks like a tech here off the front. Just checking it's not a lapped rider. Uh, it's actually a lapped rider. So this is looked really good there for a minute that someone was going off the front from Alien Inc. But I wonder if they will jump in with the pack, because that's always something I frown upon just a little bit if someone's been dropped. Although I do see Aaron Bleakley in there, and I know he's a lap down, but that was a technical. So I don't know. People who are watching the chat, what do you think? Maybe if it's a technical, I'm kind of okay with it. If it's a strategy, I'm not okay with it, is my sort of stance on the issue. I am just waiting for the segment results to update. It looks like fastest time segments are coming through. Just waiting on those first across lines. But yeah, this is, it is quite tight. Ryan Cole here watching has said that Aero needs to win and hope that ZWC gets in between them and NZ Bro. Well, that's if you want Aero to win, Ryan. If I want NZ Bro to win, I would say, get them off
Ryan.
the front.
Excellent, Ryan. Excellent, advice there and thought. I support. I support that. I mean, right now, given the success that Aero has just had on a world level, I just think that they're like a, textbook for how to develop esport riders. So I think that they're doing. Bleakley drop please from Brad Pitt. It says Ben. It says Ben, Anna, but I think he's a Brad. I'm just sure of it. I just feel it in my bones. What do you think that's about?
So that's what I was just talking about. It's the so he's had a technical, he's dropped off, he's not on the same lap, and then they're pulling him up on it. The arrows are saying you can't keep racing lapped.
I agree. I mean,
I'm gonna tend to agree.
Bummer, but
Yeah.
I agree.
And Bleakley
because lap is lap,
and Bleakley is pulling in a lot of fastest time segments because you can use the pack. So if you look at in real life racing, this would be like if you dropped a chain at the start of the race. Now, if it was a crit race with points, are you able? Oh, this is getting real controversial there in the comments too.
I know they're getting cranky pants.
Yeah, to get back
on.
Well, just
if it is a crit race and you are granted laps out, then yes. Let's just look at this sprint, fellows.
John Story, a sprinter. Wow.
See, Anna, I was just saying how impressed I was with his racecraft. Thank you, John Story, for showing us how far you've come. Great. That was great move from him. He's actually... Geez, he's got a lot of horsepower. I think he's just learning how to use it.
Yeah, that is, I think he's just kind of really coming to the forefront of his Zwifting. I am loving to see that. I am just, there is a lot of chat going on here, so I know that there's not a set rule on it. It's kind of in this, I know we're going back to this, but it is, it's right here playing out on screen. In my opinion, I wouldn't, and I would tell my team not to as well. Just because
you wouldn't pull, you wouldn't do the effort, you wouldn't pull, and you'd tell your team not to, just to clarify.
So what I'd say is if you had a dropout at the start of this race, I would say to a teammate, you can't jump back in as a lapped rider. It's just unfortunate. It's kind of the end of your race. I think it's really unfortunate to have a technical at the start of the race and you really desperately want to keep racing. But if you're there gathering up a whole lot of fastest time segment points, people may find that not great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real shame for Aaron Blakely, but I can definitely understand the conjecture around it, and I think that it's just about the respect of racing. And yeah, it is a tough position to be in because he's thinking, but I didn't get dropped, so it's not, I deserve to be in this race. But ultimately, unfortunately, it isn't that simple when it comes to something like this. And they may have found a middle ground there where he said he won't animate the race, and that appears to have calmed them down a bit. But I do think that this will be something that is raised a bit afterwards. Actually, there's a couple of things from this season that I think there's some questions about, and this is certainly one of them. And the other one is, if you go over power and you get moved up a division, should you be disqualified for that race before you move up? If it's just a progressive thing that each week you've been getting better, because that really damages the team on that day, and it's not something that you knew on purpose. So we had one of those in America West, and every week she was just getting stronger. She was just really coming into form, and she won the C's, but then got DQ'd and moved to B's. But they actually don't have a B in that zone, so she has nowhere to race, and she lost her points. So I understand that, but I can also say that every year the crew at WTRL, led by Martin, they do such an incredible job with over 10,000 athletes participating in a lot of these events. And, I think that sometimes you can only put out fires when they are lit. So this may just be another thing. Poor Martin might wake up to a Facebook chat, I'm thinking, where he's like, okay,
watch out for the Facebook.
add that to list.
And it's I'm shocked. Nathan Guerra has come into chat and said he disagrees with me. He thinks you should be able to just rock back in and go for those fastest time segments. So that's, I think, I feel like that's the gamer in him, sort of looking at it from that point of view that, yeah, why not? The points are there on offer. Go get them. So we'll agree to disagree on that one, I think, Nathan.
I love that it's literally 3 o'clock in the morning where Nathan is, or thereabouts, and he's in the chat just to, raise his point. I love that. Hi, Nathan. Get to bed. You need to get to sleep. You've got a very big 24 hours ahead with the rest of the league. Maybe a chamomile tea or something for you, Nathan. Yeah, it is an interesting point, and I do think that until you find yourself in the situation, it's actually quite easy to say, no, that's not fair. They shouldn't be in there. But it's a different story when you've had a power drop. And we did have at Worlds on the weekend, some of the Aussie women had some issues. So we had Katie Banerjee had two complete power drops when she was in the front group. And, that was, I tell you what, that was brutal to hear on the radio. And I didn't really know what to say, except that's not great.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep going. And then Brie Vine actually dropped her chain.
Like in real life chain?
In real life, dropped her chain in the final sprint. So that took her from sitting in fourth to, I'm actually not sure where she finished overall because it was in the last 200 metres. And soon-to-be world champion Jay, her husband, was furiously trying to get her chain back on. And so I guess the point of that is that sucks. Like, that's really crappy. But there's nothing you can do about it. It just is what it is. And I think that you just have to have a consistent rule about that. Like, it totally sucks, but it is what it is. If you have a power drop and you end up down, then you're just out of the race.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
But,
It's have you ever had that at the start of a Zwift race? If you've been doing much Zwift racing?
I haven't, no, and I'm glad, but I live in fear that it will happen.
I've had it once, and it was actually in a stage race. So it was the Tour of the Gila, but on Zwift back, in the first lockdowns, and it was the second stage, and I think, I don't know where I was placed, but it was all right. And I'd gotten over the hardest part of the race, still in the front bunch. It was like, yes, now it was like a long 70-kilometer race. Now I get to just chill in the bunch for a while. Then I had to drop out. I was like, oh,
Oh.
what? That is just so disheartening. As we are watching Sammy here taking a little bit of a hero maneuver off the front. Caramellos have just been lighting this party up. I've got to say, they've just come out here full noise, full horsepower. She's got a teammate in Sophie coming up right behind her and looking very, very good. I did want to notice as well, note down Hen Semenko. One, I just love saying her name. But also that saying that she's in this pack as well. So Hen Semenko, isn't that just a great last name? I just love it.
It is, and she's new. We haven't seen her in earlier seasons. I've loved watching her race through here. I have a feeling that she will step up the categories pretty quickly based on what we've seen from her this season. I think she'll probably be in the Bs or above next season, or very quickly. And she has the kind of talent that I reckon could probably move up to A's as well if she's, in the position to do so with a team.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been one that's been quite fun to watch from the TBR team. So really good to see her. I don't know if there's just want to note these C women, they are racing only 4 laps. So they've only got 30.1 kilometers. They've only 4 kilometers left basically of this race to go. So we will stay with those women up until they finish there. Seeing the on the right hand side, you can just see what will end up being their finish arch in just a short space of time. So don't be surprised to see some attacks on this uphill climb. Look at that view. Does that not make you want to go to Paris, seeing that Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe in the background? It just looks glorious, doesn't it?
It would be very lovely. And in fact, if you're going to race in the esports world, this is a pretty good way to do it. My partner was watching the racing on the weekend and he was like, wow, it's so realistic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think we watch it so much that you almost lose track of that, but it really does. They've done such a wonderful job. Now, I'm just loving these wonderful comments. Thanks for having me in the bunch and looking after me. I think that above everything, we have to remember how wonderful this community is. They're on their last lap now. They do have just a couple of kilometres left in this series. So it's series 1 of 21-22. If you can believe we're already in March 2022. Where did the last few years go? I don't know. But there's a lot of community support and a lot of these women I think would get on tremendously well. It would be quite a fun coffee stop if we went riding with this mob.
Wouldn't it? I think a champagne stop for a lot of them. It seems like a lot of them are into that champers, but we're seeing, looks like Richie from Raven Hard. Oh, another great team name. She is moving a little bit off the front. I don't think quite quick enough to really make the others feel too nervous. Just a little bit of a dig here. Not a huge amount, though. She already has gained 2 seconds. The pack doesn't seem super motivated to chase as yet.
Well, this is a good little last chance dig. Why not? They've got nothing to lose. On a couple of the earlier laps, we did see, now they've got 4 laps in total. The men we're watching, the A's, have 6 laps. But on lap 2 and 3, it actually animated a fair bit and really strung out. Nobody was able to get a gap. No group was able to get any meaningful gap. But this
6
is happening
seconds now.
Ricky,
7 seconds.
Yeah.
I take my words
Ben
back.
I thought,
yeah.
having to do the chasing too. So this is a bit of a turn of events.
Van Rossum
because
should
that
be
gap's
panicking.
actually opening up.
And what Van Rossum is doing here that isn't great is if she wants to catch up, she needs to put in orange numbers, sprint, and bridge the gap. Because look what she's doing. She's bringing up this whole crew with her because she's just kind of putting in a time trial type effort on the front. But Richie now, 7 seconds off the front. She is, I am impressed with this effort. She is looking really good from Raven Mad here. one teammate behind her, that was Foot, who we remember from that other sprint, just managed to sort of pip Van Rossum with a really, really good use of an aero power up. But yeah, this is a great job here from Richie. She's going to be coming around this nice little bit here with the Arc de Triomphe. I'll just go out a little bit so you can see some of what that looks like.
Oh, look at that beautiful view. We should work for Tourism France.
Oh, shouldn't we?
Based on this beautiful. if anybody has a connection,
there we go. We'll take it.
Up. We'd love an end of season holiday.
Yeah, Tourism France. I'll go there. Absolutely. That's our in real life catch up, Katie. We can have it in Paris. I won't complain. But 7 seconds.
I won't complain about that either.
She is in under 2 kilometers now to the finish. What is not going to be good for her with the pack chasing behind is this downhill. Now, what she needs now is the triple power up. If she can run 3 power ups in a row now, she'll be able to stay away. This might be what I'll try tomorrow, actually. I like this move. A little breakaway on the climb and then take it on the downhill. 6 seconds. Are they going to catch? You can just see them there in the distance.
It's a little bit sassy, isn't it? I like this too. 6 seconds. I mean, you only need, half a second really. But it has come down a little bit to 4. They are certainly absolutely on the charge for Richie.
Oh, steamroller. She's jumped a steamroller.
Good timing.
If she's got any power left, she'll be able to stay away with that power up. But it looks like her numbers are really just dropping off here a little bit as we're seeing a huge charging Caramellos here. Of course it's a Caramellos. Man, that's all on fire. But they're very, very quickly approaching the arch, coming to the bottom of this downhill. She has been caught, unfortunately, but I love that. Good maneuver. It lit up the pack.
Brilliant ride. Brilliant rider. I think the reason that these ladies have developed so well over the last couple of seasons is because they give it a go. They really are prepared to just throw it out there and have a crack rather than just sitting around and waiting for it to happen. And that really always impresses me. It's easier to sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
The Caramellos, gee, look at them. They are coming to the front en masse, wanting to really keep this going. This is pretty dangerous.
They're right near the end. You can see the finish line is just sort of coming up very quickly as the tarmac now flattens off. Who has got the steam? Look at this. Van Rossum. I would not be surprised if she takes this out. Steamroller. She's got the sprint power. She's up out of the saddle. There she goes. I think Van Rossum is going to take this away. Looks like Tracy's even dropping a little bit now with Evie there from TBR Smile on, being able to take that too. We'll go back and have a look at the replay. That was a TBR master class. That was absolutely awesome to see those guys finish. Now they get to chill out here, have the crowd cheering them on, and go get some champagne.
Yeah, this is champagne time, ladies. Brilliant season. And I do think that, look at Van Rossum go. That acceleration is exactly why she's gotten so many points today. She drops the steamroller at the perfect time, accelerates again. It's kind of like rubbing it in, isn't it?
And look at Eve there. She was about 6 wheels back. You can see her just suddenly, she dropped a steamroller too. Great timing right on the line. Managed to pip Sophie there and Tracy from the Caramellos. So we talked a lot about the Caramellos, but man, Smile On, they just know how to finish it off, don't they?
Yeah, what a great job. I love to see that at the end of the season. Back to the fellas. They've still got a couple of laps to go because they are doing 6, where the women have just done 4. So we still have a few laps here to go and all still together.
Yeah, looking pretty good. So, I'm surprised that not more people have dropped off. We will perhaps see some digs here. They've got a little bit further to go. Their race is 43.3, so 10K to go. So they might just be feeling the heat a little bit tired and just want to sit in. But we do see some big numbers coming here from these riders off the front. Look at this little attack here from one of the Inc riders. Just checking that they're not a lapped rider. Doesn't look like it. And we've got Gandalf rider here dropping right onto their wheel. They're not wanting them to get away. They know, NZ Bro knows they need to perform well in this to really stay ahead of that Team Aero.
Hey, but this is really good riding from Gandalf because they're the feeder team for NZ. Like we've got NZ Bro Frodo and they're kind of the older, more experienced and established riders, and then we've got the Gandalf, who are the up-and-comers. So to see them stick their face in the wind at this level and at this point in racing is pretty good show of how much talent is actually on that team as well. And look, Anna, if we look at these pictures, the first thing I notice is all of these power-ups. Great timing to drop those. But just how many from a numbers perspective, Aero and NZ Bro teams that we do have. And looking at them, it would be easy to think that they will take it away easily. Tabalong there, following from Cato from ZWC. Now, ZWC have done such a good job this season, Anna. You just can't go past their consistency. So for all the talking we might do about Aero and NZ Bro, it's ZWC who have just been nailing it.
Oh, haven't they? Yeah, they we kind of tend to talk about them almost every season, I would say. They just seem to be prolifically there. I have noticed they haven't had as many riders out and about on the course that they would usually have. So I think maybe they've kind of feel like they've sewn up the season a little bit, having a little bit of a rest. Although are they? Yeah, they're ahead on they're not going to get beaten today. So they're just probably having a nice little celebratory ride around. Some riders resting for next week with playoffs. Like you said at the beginning of the show, Katie, I've got to agree. It is tiring, it's so fun and you come in with such sort of energy, and then by this last race you're like, I'm smashed.
My word for it is what I always think. Like they come in so enthusiastic, and then by the end everybody's exhausted. But Cato does not look exhausted.
No. Oh, Tabalong though, look at those watts. 15.6 watts per kg. Absolutely smashed that one through Cato. I mean, it looks like Scott there with a steamroller came through from Aero, but yeah, NZ Bro looking very good, taking out some of those points. We haven't been able to get the segments updating, but I can tell you that they're looking dangerous for this team Aero, I've got to say.
That was a good sprint from Tabalong. He's been really impressive. Oh, you know who I saw in World Champs on the weekend, I meant to say, Anna, was Lam Kong.
Oh, a rider that she's watching, I think.
Yeah, I loved seeing her name on the start list and rolling out for the World Champs. That gave me a little bit of community pride right there. So that was fantastic to see her there. And hello to you if you are watching. We love watching
Do you know who is
race,
watching?
and so well to see you succeed. Who's watching?
Gina Van Rossum. Gina Van Rossum's come into the chat. She's saying she's finished her ride, she's warming down, and she's watching the Men A. So, hey, Gina, that was a phenomenal finish to your race and a phenomenal finish to your season. And thanks for popping into the chat as well.
Yeah, well done. And hey, Gina, tell us a little bit of your training regime and secret, because you have got damn good legs, lady. I'd love to know what's going on there. I reckon she's been eating something more than 2-minute noodles, which is incidentally what I fed my children before we came on air tonight, Anna. Look, not every day can be a win.
I was having espresso coated chocolate almonds.
Well, there you go. I reckon Gina's probably had a good balanced meal of vegetables and some nice lean red meat. But
yeah, I would say that she's done something right. And I can't, do not ask me for nutritional advice because it's with a young one. And I was saying to Katie, I was Googling how do you make your baby sleep through the night. I am not one for good nutrition at the moment. It's waking up and straight into the chocolate, I gotta say.
Yeah. I forgot to send it to you, but I did take some photos of some caramello koalas at the airport the other day to send to you, but I did forget. But little ode to the dominant team in the women's this season, the Caramellos.
Yes.
It's good to see them on the shelves at the airport. It is very interesting, Anna, I would say, that by the end of this season, look at how small this bunch is for a sprint day. Because usually what we were seeing is this kind of bunch was happening more on kind of the tougher courses. And when I say tougher, I know that tough can also be flat. You don't need climbs to make it tough. But I think that people are here on a very strict mission, and the racing is going very well. Mon Rich, I keep seeing his name pop up. He's been so good over the last seasons. I'd love to see him racing in Prem League. Not that I get to choose, but I just think that he's always been such a consistent rider.
Yeah, I mean, you'll just throw it out there. You could just choose, Katie, who you think should race in Prem and Monrich.
I
You
should.
select
I
him,
should.
he
I
should just
feel
go
like
up,
we
right?
should get a wild card team. Like, between all the commentators, there's 4 of us here on Zwift Community with you and I and Nathan and the big Dave Toll. Big in voice.
I was going to say. Okay.
I'll say.
Nice.
Sorry, Dave is in very good health and very good shape, I might add. But it would be, imagine if we got like 2 picks each and created our own like little Zwift Community Live, like the CL Dream Team.
Do you know what? That's
that
actually a
would
great
be
idea.
good
It should
fun.
be for one of the races, we each get to pick a team out of everyone we've seen racing, and then those teams get to go up against each other in a Zwift Community Live head-to-head battle. Now that would be pretty fun.
This could be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah,
Who do we
like
pitch
it.
this idea to? Now, Blackie is off the front here with Wright from the Battlers. They're not going too far. Nobody's really letting anything go today, are they?
No, they're coming into the last part of their lap, so they're going to hit this uphill, which I think we may see some attacks. Potentially we could. I'm not sure. I know we saw in the women's race a great little dig off the front that just kind of, I think if the pack is so big like this together, it's just going to be so hard to stay away on the downhill to the finish line. But I love seeing it. I love seeing a solo off the front. It keeps things interesting. And it's the last race of the season. Why not? It's oh, I have just seen from Gina Van Rossum, yogurt with fruit for breakfast. Well,
Ooh.
you are a saint, Gina. That is a lot better than Kate and I. I've got to say, I'm racing tomorrow, and my go-to is a massive spiced hash brown with a chocolate milkshake. So, yeah,
sounds like breakfast at Anna's is on the menu.
Oh no, that's at a cafe. I don't cook that kind of.
Right.
Mine would
Right.
be very basic.
But, either way, I think that that sounds delicious. But Gina is perhaps on the better line for fuel.
Yeah, everyone listen to Gina. That sounds like a much better option before a race. I do have to say, whenever I go the massive spiced hash brown with a side of bacon, I do think when I hit the first hard part of the race, every time I'm like, I don't know if that was a good decision. But every time I still want it.
Still go back.
I still go back.
I'm sure there's a word for that, Anna.
Yeah, I know. Looks like the men are all coming together. The pace is well off. You can just see they're spreading across the road. Not a massive group here. Looks like there's about maybe 22 who'll come into the line. But yeah, this is looking like it could. What do you think? Is someone going to solo off the front? I'm thinking someone from Aero could take it away.
Well, I mean, that would be a good move, and it nearly worked in the women. If Gina Van Rossum hadn't been so strong, maybe it would have worked in the women's race. So it's hard to know because if this, if that. But it certainly, this feels like something's going to happen. It feels like it's too slow. It does. It's like
there is steamroller being dropped. That is an NZ Pro rider. Stevens Tabalong. Oh, he is attacking all day. This is phenomenal. And this is an attack. Steamroller on this climb. Yeah. Feather or steamroller would be good. Steamroller better. It lasts very long, 30 seconds. He's got I don't think people are going to let him get away. Look at who's driving it. Harris there from Aero Masters. Aero knows what's at stake here. This is basically an Aero versus NZ Bro kind of a battle we got going on. 2 seconds, but this pack isn't splitting up. NZ Bro has to kind of split it up a bit so he doesn't get caught near the end. I don't think this is enough as he heads around the top of this course.
Well, with all due respect, there is no way I would let Tabalong go. No way. He is so consistent and so strong, I would not let him go. Now, that being said, look at the massive numbers he is putting out compared to the chasing pack. And he is committed to this. And I always say to any athlete, if you are going to attack, the damage you do in the attack is really in the first 15 seconds in terms of yourself. So you need to go and not even look over your shoulder for at least 30 seconds, unless you haven't even got a meter gap, in which case you probably haven't attacked very hard. But you just have to commit to it and see what happens. I'm loving this. He has 100% thrown in for this, probably knowing that if he gets caught, it's all over Red Rover and he's got no energy left, based on the incredible effort
look at this
that he has made so far.
Another breakaway here from a ZWC. This is a good way to catch. Steamroller, orange numbers. He could get across, and he has not brought the pack with him. That was what was not good at happening in the women's race. We just pulled kind of ahead. I think Gina, sorry you're watching, I think Gina was pulling through the group a little bit at the front, and it managed to bring in the whole pack. Good for her at the end. She wanted a pack sprint, but not good for the chaser on the front. Look at this, though. I think, well, at least Tabalong's going to get first across line points as well. And we've got the ZWC rider who could catch up. Could they work together? Although, look at this. Big numbers coming in. They're all sprinting for this, which means I think this pack momentum is going to be way too big over the sprint banner. And I think Tabalong, although 10 seconds ahead, could get caught.
Well, I don't know. This is the exact moment. Did he just drop another steamroller?
Oh
my goodness.
Yes. That has been
Gameplay
3, right?
In action right there. Nakagawa, he might bridge across here, but the pair of them together just pushing through. If the pack hesitates at all, then they can stay away. But that is not happening. There is no hesitation. Look at this gap reduced. Tabalong is on his absolute last legs. Nakagawa being absorbed by that chasing pack now. Brilliant ride from Tabalong. It's not going to work for today.
Brad Pitt is coming to the line. Steamroller early opening up, though. I think that's far too early as we see Notzi from NZ Bro Frodo coming through. These guys are opening up way too early. I think Stevenson here, Harris from Aero Masters may end up taking this out over Notzi. Well, look at these numbers coming in. Stevenson, Haggerty coming through. NZ Bro, 2 NZ Bros, and Story. No, Story. He's going to take it. Story is going to take it. 3 NZ Bros, Story, Haggerty, Fellows. Absolutely phenomenal. John Story, I mean, geez, I know you in real life. You're a quiet, soft-spoken fellow, but wow, you say a lot with that power. That was unreal. We'll go back and have a look at a replay because, wow, loved it.
That was very, very cool. And doesn't it just go to the incredible development that they've had this season? John's Story, as physically capable as he was, would not have been able to execute in a way that he did tonight. Not far to go to the finish. Tabalong looks comfy. He has set this up for NZ Bro. What a tremendous ride.
Yeah.
For him. Nakagawa was trying for ZWC to finish the season off with an overall win, but NZ Bro were just absolutely sitting pretty. Very good timing from Brad Pitt here. He probably thought Angelina or Jen Aniston was at the finish for him.
Which one?
Yeah. Both of them maybe, Anna. Who knows? He was excited. That didn't quite work. Knutza, NZ Bro was so coordinated, weren't they? They just went one after the other, and some great power-ups as well, to have the steamroller and to have the aero, and just perfect timing. I thought Haggerty was going to hold on to this. What an explosive move from him. But Stories and Fellow, great timing on their power-ups to really maximize that acceleration. And it's a trifecta.
Oh, yeah, that's what a finish. I was actually staring intently at when he opened up that sprint because I just wonder, he got that with timing, I've got to say. We'll wait for those results to come in, but Katie, that was quite the finish. I quite liked that. We had Van Rossum and the women coming through with Story and the men. Oh, just Isn't it just lovely? I think that was just a great way to finish
Yeah.
that off. I feel happy with that.
It's lovely. Yeah, of course you would. And while you're and while you're sitting on the happiness of NZ Bro taking out the community league tonight, I'll just, think of Jay Vine and his rainbow stripes and where he's come from, So we're all happy.
Look, APAC last race of the season is so much bigger than the Esport World Champs, Katie. Isn't it? Like...
Well, given that Ben Hill, who was on the podium, he got fourth actually at Worlds, and he didn't win the Community League races. It was more Mark O'Brien. I mean, he had a few really good races, but I think it does go to show that these guys are absolutely world class and world level. So we could see some pretty exciting things, and I'm so happy to see. And I will admit it, I did want Aero to prevail tonight because I am very patriotic.
Okay.
However, I'm also very proud of what NZ Bro have done this season. Tabalong, I feel like he has taught the team quite a lot. Strategically, he just seems like he's absolutely all over it. And John's story, I remember when you first spoke about his athletic background, and I thought, yeah, he's so powerful, but he needs to learn how to race.
Oh, and look what
And
he's
in
done.
8 short weeks, we're not talking about 8 months. It's 8 weeks.
Do you know who
that
he
he's turned
reminds
that
me
around.
of?
That's incredible.
Last season, Mark Bosted. Do you remember? The professional triathlete who retired, started Zwift racing, was rubbish at the start. I talked about how bad his sprint was. And then by the end, won it in a sprint again. So we do have the results. So we'll head over and have a look at those. Men's coming in first. We'll have a look at how that played out with the A category. Just bring those in. There we go. Take it away, Katie.
All right. Well, there he is, Anna, in all his glory. John Story at the top of the table there. Josh Haggerty in second. Jackson Fellows in third. And what a great race he did. There he is, Mon Rich. He's my pick for the dream team of, commentators' dream team in the Premier League. Kenta Endo, also from Team ZWC Allies. Mitch Zito from the Alien Battlers, closely followed by Trent Stevenson. Everybody came across in like little team groups here, didn't they?
They sure did.
Mate, we've got Thomas Davison for the Barbarians. Yeah, there they are, Ben Pitt and Jay Philpott. I didn't miss that, Anna. I just chose to move on. They came in 9th and 10th. They've ridden tremendously. In fact, we thought that Brad Pitt may actually win that. So, good on him for staying in that top 10 in that ferocious sprint, but very good on those NZ Bro Frodo guys.
See if there's any B results. They'll still be out there. They've still got the long laps to go. So we'll head over and have a look at the C's who will have finished because they had the shorter race. Head over to WTRL.racing for those B results. But Edmar Bartolo from the Aerobics, Jason Coughlin from Z Sunreal, Chris Taylor from HDR Commodores, Brett Dodmer from Evo Suns, Bone Shaker, that's an epic name if it's real, from Z Sunreal, Stephen Nowicki from Evo Suns, Andy Katie, I'm struggling, from HDR Chargers, James Costello from Z Sunleashed, Daniel Butty from HDR Choppers, and Jason Rock from the Commodores.
All right, the Ds, they're coming through too. Here we've got Brendan Clark for AHDR Dillagaff. Good on him, finishing it off in style for the season with his teammate Scott Macon. Looks like a little breakaway there, 3.5 seconds. Good on him. Malcolm Wade for the Cyclo Killers in third. Shane Bamford from Dillagaff in fourth. Miguel Ferrido from TZP Delta in fifth. Get Elzinger in sixth from the Dodgers. Liam Nevin coming in seventh from the Cyclo Killers. That's kind of like a great and terrifying name all at once. I know. Matt Sayers from the Dodgers in eighth. I'm thinking like a baseball team when I see Dodgers. Andrew Finneran from the Cyclo Killers in ninth. And Michael Hamilton from Dillagaff in 10th. So good how many AHDR teams there are. They're really supporting this community racing so well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just go over and have a look at the women. Looks like the Bs are still out there, but we do have the results of our C category, which we watched tonight. That's Gina Van Rossum, Herd of Wheelies. She was in first place. Eve Lowe from TBR Smile On came through in second, with Sophie Nightingale from the Caramellos in third, with her teammate Tracy Muller in fourth. Tamara Davies in fifth from Spin Mafia. Roswitha, great name. Hen Semenko, love saying it. Tune Bike Works, Chicks and
Your
Nicks,
favourite.
my fave. Joanna Foote, who had that great breakaway from Raven Mad in seventh. Natasha Powell from the Caramellos in eighth. Spin Mafia, Diane Meek in ninth. And Shannon Ritchie, also in ninth. Is that our first dead heat? That might be.
Ooh,
I
it
like
may
that.
be.
Interesting. Right on the same
Oh,
time.
I mean, we
So,
saw a couple last season, but this season I don't recall any dead heats, so that's a
no.
good one.
Awesome.
A virtual bike push to the finish line there.
And no Ds as yet. So head over to WTRL.racing for all of those results.
Yes.
And
Well,
that's it,
Anna,
Katie.
you've done a tremendous job producing this season and doing everything behind the scenes. So thank you very much for that. And to Nathan and Martin, who have also done a tremendous job. We are done with normal season racing, which is mind-blowing that we have gotten to this point already. Anna, how? I guess you went from having a 3-month-old to a 5-month-old. So it
There
happens.
we go. It does.
We do have some playoffs. So next week we do have a TTT and then a points race. So the season is not completely over. But I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody involved, to all of the riders who come out week in and week out, both to race, to support, to be button pushers. I know there's a lot of you in the background as well, and even to engage through Zwift Community Live. So thank you very much. The rest of this season of week 8 will be on for the next 24 hours. We finish with America West in about 24 hours' time. Anna, good luck tomorrow. I'm sorry to tell you it won't be easy. So you might have
I
to
can only hope.
crack into that.
And I do want to say too that the all the courses have been released for the next season.
Ooh.
So go over to WTRL.racing and check those out. I went and had a look today, and it's very exciting. I'm quite excited for a few of them. Excited for a little bit of a break as well, though. But go check it out. It looks awesome. And yeah, I just want to say as well, the races this season have been awesome. We haven't followed a C category for a whole season like we have with the women this time, and yeah, I've got to say they brought it to the table, and there was some really tough racing. So great to see all the categories in action, and always great to be working with you as well, Katie.
Yeah, likewise, Anna. So we will see you next season, if not in the playoffs. Everybody, take a look at those courses. Go and recon some. I'm very tempted to get on the bike myself one of these days, Anna. So we'll see what happens. All right, we will see you next season, if not in the playoffs.